At first, it didn't even feel real. The kind of moment where you blink twice, replay the clip, and wait for context that never comes. Nicki Minaj, a figure whose career has been built on rebellion, outsider energy, and speaking directly to marginalized fans, was standing comfortably on a Turning Point USA stage, smiling, relaxed, confident. And then came the praise. Not vague patriot talk, not a neutral statement, but direct admiration for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, framed as pride in being American. What made this moment hit harder wasn't outrage or boos, it was the stillness that followed online. The Barbz didn't immediately defend her. They didn't mobilize. They didn't spin the narrative like they had so many times before. Instead, timelines slowed. Fan pages hesitated. Comment sections filled with unfinished thoughts. This wasn't another misunderstood Nicki moment or a media hit piece. This felt final in a way her past controversies never did. And the reason it landed so heavy is because Nicki wasn't just anywhere. She was standing in a space many of her own fans view as openly hostile to their existence. That disconnect created a pause so loud it felt like the start of something breaking. And once people felt that shift, there was no going back. For years, Nicki Minaj's fan base has been her shield. Every feud, every scandal, every messy tweet was met with instant defense. The Barbz were known for their speed, their coordination, their loyalty. But this time, something strange happened. They didn't rush in. They didn't trend hashtags. They didn't drown critics out. Instead, they went quiet. And silence, especially from a fandom that loud, is never accidental. You could watch it happen in real time. Fan accounts posting less, comments hedging instead of defending, longtime supporters saying things like, "I need time," or "This doesn't feel right." This wasn't about cancel culture or internet outrage. It was about emotional whiplash. Many of Nicki's fans are black, immigrant, queer, or all three. They've grown up seeing Turning Point USA and similar spaces oppose policies that directly affect their safety and rights. So watching Nicki treat that environment as normal, friendly even, created a rupture. The parasocial bond cracked. Because when fans feel politically abandoned, the loyalty equation changes. And once that silence settled in, it gave room for voices that had been holding back to finally speak. That's when Bishop Talbert Swan stepped in and said what many were already thinking but hadn't put into words yet. He didn't sugarcoat it. He called the moment hypocritical. And the reason it landed is because the facts were already there. Nicki Minaj was born in Trinidad and Tobago. She's spoken openly about being undocumented as a child. She cannot even vote in U.S. elections. And yet, here she was praising politicians whose policies have been accused of harming immigrants, rolling back civil protections, and deepening inequality for working-class families. For many fans, that contradiction wasn't theoretical, it was personal. Nicki's wealth, fame, and global status insulate her in ways regular people will never experience. ICE isn't knocking on her door. Her family isn't being torn apart. Her citizenship status isn't weaponized against her. So when she frames this praise as bravery or patriotism, it doesn't read as bold. It reads as detached. And once that realization sets in, the image of Nicki as a voice for the unheard starts to look less solid. But the criticism didn't stop there, because then the internet did what it always does. It dug up receipts.
Old footage resurfaced of Charlie Kirk openly criticizing Nicki Minaj, dismissing her as a poor role model and accusing artists like her of damaging black culture. The same movement now applauding her had once mocked her influence, reduced her artistry, and treated her success as cultural decay. That irony hit hard because it exposed how conditional the praise really was. People online weren't confused, they were insulted. This wasn't a misunderstanding, this was alignment with a space that had already shown contempt for her and for the culture she represents, and that made the moment feel less like a coincidence and more like a calculated comfort. Critics pointed out that conservative spaces often welcome black and adjacent celebrities only when they're useful as shields, when they can say, "See, even she agrees with us." That realization shifted the narrative completely. This wasn't about Nicki having a different opinion. It was about who benefits from her presence and who gets erased in the process. And once people saw that pattern, they started looking at the timing.
The conversation widened quickly. Political strategist Mike Nellis voiced what many were already whispering. The timing felt off. Reports began circulating about financial strain, legal pressure, and the possible loss of a multi-million-dollar home. Her husband needing a pardon didn't help quiet the speculation. Suddenly, this wasn't just about ideology, it was about leverage. Fans started noticing a recurring trend: celebrities distancing themselves from woke spaces right when they need protection, sympathy, or a new audience. And Nicki's situation fit too neatly into that pattern for people to ignore. Comments grew sharper. Some suggested fear, others strategy. Whether fair or not, perception took over. Because when public figures make political pivots during moments of vulnerability, audiences question motive before message. And once that distrust sets in, it spreads fast. By this point, the fan base wasn't debating politics anymore. They were questioning authenticity. And then, one single word poured